I never expected that one shocking night would lead Ngozi to a life-changing transformation. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was a night like no other. The air felt heavy, thick with an unsettling electricity. Shadows danced across the walls as I clutched the phone in my trembling hands. Each heartbeat rang in my ears like a death knell. My best friend, Ada, was in trouble. I knew it deep down. The whispers I caught, the glances shared between the others, they all pointed to something sinister lurking beneath the surface that I rushed to the small cafe where we often laughed away our worries. The bell above the door jangled as I stepped inside. My heart raced. The warm aroma of coffee mixed with something sour fear maybe. I spotted her, sitting alone, her face pale like the moon. Tears streamed down her cheeks, illuminating a desperate sadness. I moved closer, each step feeling heavier than the last. What had happened? What was she hiding? Ngozi, she gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. It's worse than I thought. They know. Her words trailed off, leaving a chilling silence hanging between us. I felt a cold shiver crawl down my spine. Who were they? What threat loomed over us? The night stretched, an endless loop of uncertainty. Ada had always been my anchor, the one who held my hand through storms. Our childhood memories flooded back, scraped knees, late-night giggles, promises whispered under starry skies. Now, I found myself wanting to shield her, to save her from whatever darkness was pursuing her. But how could I protect her when I didn't even know what we were facing? My mind raced, spinning with questions and fears. Suddenly, the cafe's door slammed open. Chills raced through me as I spotted a figure, tall and cloaked, stepping into the light. The barista froze, eyes wide, hands shaking. "You," the figure hissed, locking onto Ada with an intensity that made my blood run cold. "You can't hide from the truth." I could feel the room closing in, the air thick with tension. Questions spiraled. What truth? My heart pounded in my chest, the silence so loud I wanted to scream. A bead of sweat trickled down my back. I shot a glance at Ada, her eyes filled with fear but also a flicker of determination that surprised me. "What do you want?" I managed to croak, my voice trembling. The shadow turned to me, eyes glinting with something unnameable. "Oh, you don't want to know, little girl." A low laugh sent a wave of dread crashing over me. My mind raced with possibilities. Who was this person? What danger were we in? Ada shook her head, fear replacing the flicker of determination. "We have to go, Ngozi, we have to run." Just then, I spotted the reflection of something in the figure's hand, a glinting object, a weapon, perhaps. My mind screamed for us to leave, but my feet felt glued to the floor. What did it mean? What was about to happen? Desperation clawed at my insides, urging me to react. My breath caught in my throat. The weight of the unknown pressed down hard. And in that moment, I realized this was just the beginning of something terrifying. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I could feel the icy fingers of panic grip my chest as Ada's urgent whisper wrapped around me. "We have to go, Ngozi, we have to run." But the sight of that cloaked figure, the palpable threat radiating from it, rooted me to the spot. The shadow shifted closer, its form looming ominously above Ada, who trembled like a leaf in the wind. I glanced around the cafe, desperate for an escape route, but every face was a mask of horror, mirroring my own fears. Was I going to watch my best friend get hurt right in front of me? "What do you mean, the truth?" I managed to say, my voice shaking but rising over the heavy silence. The figure chuckled darkly, a sound so devoid of humanity it sent chills up my spine. It's a truth you can neither deny nor run from, Ada, it taunted, advancing as I instinctively stepped between it and my friend. Everything you've hidden will come to light. Ada swallowed hard, the tension shifting in her posture. I could almost see the gears turning in her mind, wrestling between her fear and her resolve. No, she said, voice firmer now. You don't get to dictate my life anymore. I felt a swell of admiration for her courage, even in this dire moment. But what could words do against a force like this? Suddenly, the hybrid fear and fury ignited a spark of defiance within me. Leave her alone. I shouted, my words sharper than I felt. Perhaps it was the intuition that a wounded animal is often at its most dangerous. You don't scare us. The figure's eyes narrowed, the momentary pause a thin veil before the storm. Scared? Oh, sweet girl, this isn't about fear. In an instant, it shifted its gaze to me, and I felt the weight of its scrutiny. You should be scared. You have no idea what she's capable of. What you're both tangled in now. With a swift motion, the figure brandished the weapon, a metallic gleam catching the dim light. You're in deep, Ada. You've already crossed the line. A flash of understanding washed over me as harder truths began to surface, echoing memories of Ada's late-night whispers and shadows dancing behind her eyes. What have you done? I asked, feeling a swell of anger at her choice to shield me from this world of darkness. I made choices, mistakes, she said, each word a slice of pain. But I won't let you hurt her. Time slowed to a painful crawl as the moment stretched indefinitely. And, like some cruel twist of fate pulling strings, two customers stood up, alarmed and caught in the chaos. The barista dropped a cup, shattering the tense silence. The figure turned, momentarily distracted. Run! I yelled, adrenaline surging through me. Ada grasped my arm, our connection igniting an unbreakable bond fueled by terror and loyalty. We dashed toward the door, hearts racing, fear propelling us forward. I could feel the shadow's gaze burning into my back, each step carrying us deeper into the unknown. Outside, the night air felt sharp and cold against our skin, as real as the fear coursing through our veins that we sprinted down the empty streets, away from the cafe that felt like the last vestige of safety. The lights flickered above us, casting long shadows as I turned to check if we were followed. My breath came in ragged gasps, the weight of adrenaline adding to my unease. Did you see that look? I gasped as we paused for a moment, leaning against the wall of a nearby bookstore. What does it mean? I don't know, she said, voice shaking, but her gaze was fierce, a flicker of determination sparking behind her fear. All I know is that this isn't just about us anymore, Ngozi. We have to find out what they want, and who they are before it's too late. That a sobering thought settled over me. Ada wasn't just in trouble, we were both entwined in something larger, something deeper than either of us could fathom. But the truth clawed at the edges of my mind. If I helped her confront this darkness, what would it reveal about our past? Would the shadows of our childhood come alive to haunt us? Just as I opened my mouth to voice my concerns, a sudden noise came from behind us. Footsteps echoed in the distance, the very rhythm of danger drawing nearer. My heart raced faster than my thoughts could catch up. This way, I urged, dragging her deeper into the darkness of an alley, where silhouettes writhed under the dim light. But as we pressed on, an unexpected flash caught my eye. In the shadows stood a figure, not cloaked, not menacing, but familiar, a silhouette I hadn't seen in years. My breath hitched as I squinted, desperate to recognize the outline against the moonlight. No. It can't be him, I whispered, caught in the web of disbelief. Ada turned to follow my gaze, the fear in her eyes mirroring my own. Who is it? The figure stepped into the light, illuminating a face I thought had been lost to me, a face twisted by the past, careworn but undeniably familiar. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet, the weight of unresolved truths crashing between us. And just like that, the murky depths of our reality thundered to life, as we stood on the brink of a reckoning. The night promised nothing but uncertainty, love tangled with fear, and a destiny we never asked for. What awaited us in the shadows was no longer just a threat but a dawning challenge that had the power to shatter our very worlds. I knew we were on the edge of something profound. But would it bring us closer, or unravel everything we'd fought to protect? The figures stepped closer, the cold moonlight revealing features that were both hauntingly familiar and painfully distant. It was Kofi, my older brother, his eyes holding a mix of resentment and sorrow that tightened my chest. Memories of laughter shared and whispers of childhood dreams flashed before my eyes, shrouded now by a heavy veil of unsaid words and lost years. Ada, we can't stay here, I said, panic tightening its grip as Kofi's presence loomed over us, feeling like both a lifeline and a weight dragging me down. His gaze flicked between Ada and me, as though measuring the distance between us and the past. What are you doing here, Kofi? I stuttered, the question tumbling out laden with a mixture of anger and yearning. Why now? After all this time, he ran a hand through his tousled hair, the shadows of the alley swallowing his frame like a forgotten dream. I came to warn you, he finally murmured, his voice a ghost of familiarity. They're after you, after both of you. The urgency in his tone startled me, pushing back the walls I'd built around my heart. That we know, Ada replied sharply, her resilience flickering like a candle in the wind. But who are they? What do they want with us? Kofi hesitated, his expression a mix of fear and despair. The truth, Ada. They want the truth about your past. About what you did, what you're capable of. His words unfurled like a dark whisper, coiling around our collective fear that I felt the cold tendrils of doubt creeping in. What do you mean? What do we have to do with any of this? There are things from our childhood, things you don't remember, secrets, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, guilt etched on his features. Things I should have protected you from, but I thought you were safer, thought if I stayed away, it would stay buried. My chest tightened, the shadows of our shared past encroaching upon us. The stories of shadows and strange occurrences I had dismissed as youthful imaginings were becoming too real, too tangible. Why didn't you ever come back? I pressed, the hurt spilling into my voice, forcing the bitterness of our separation into the air like a bitter confession that I was scared. Ngozi, he exclaimed, his voice cracking under the weight of our history. I'm sorry. I never wanted this for you. But I can't protect you from this anymore. You have to face it, the truth, or they'll find you. Ada took a step closer, the determination in her eyes sparking as she reached out for me, grounding me amidst the storm of confusion. We can't fall apart now, she urged, her grip firm. If we're going to untangle this mess, we have to do it together. The urgency of the moment pulsated around us, the echo of footsteps growing louder in the distance as it punctuated my resolve. Fine, I said, voice steadier than I felt. But we need answers. I can't go back to being ignorant about who I am, not with everything on the line. Kofi nodded, the worry etched into his features a constant reminder of what lay ahead. We need to go to the place it all began, our childhood home, he said, the words trembling with unspoken fears. The mention of the house sent a wave of nausea swirling through me. It hadn't just been a home, it had been a cradle for silence and secrets that had festered over the years like dormant weeds. Isn't that where I hesitated, the implications hovering ominously in the air? Isn't that where it all started? Yes, Kofi replied, his eyes imploring. It's where the truth will find you, whether you're ready or not. The past has its way of coming back, especially when you least expect it. I knew there was no escaping this call from the past. As daunting as it seemed, the glimmer of hope flickered within the shadows, the possibility of understanding, of reconciling with the pieces of my life I'd left behind. But before I could voice my thoughts, the distant sound of more footsteps echoed, a sinister rhythm that promised confrontation. My heartbeat echoed back. We have to go, now, I urged, the urgency palpable in the cold night air that we turned, the gravitational pull of fate drawing us towards the past. As I glanced back at Kofi, the shadow of uncertainty became a solid wall between us, one built on anger, duty, and unhealed wounds. As we sprinted forward, leaving the alley's darkness behind, a fear surged within me. Was the truth we sought to uncover worth the price it would demand? Would it draw us closer as siblings, or would it shatter the fragile bond we still had? Just when I thought we might make it to safety, an all too familiar chill crept along my spine. A figure emerged from the shadows ahead, one that sent fear slicing through me as recognition struck. "He's been waiting for you, Ada," the figure said, voice low and haunting, as it stepped into the flickering streetlight, a face from a past I never fully understood, another piece of this intricate puzzle that remained unsolved, and with that, the darkness closed around us, the heat of impending revelations lighting a fuse I was terrified to see ignite. The air felt electric around us as the figures stepped into the light, their features illuminating the night with an unsettling familiarity that sent a shiver down my spine. I recognized him, Jide, a childhood friend who had vanished from our lives like a shadow swallowed by darkness. His presence flipped the already turbulent tide of emotions surging through me, a blend of fear, confusion, and a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, he held answers. "Ada, it's been a long time," Jide said, the corners of his mouth curling into an unsettling smirk. It was a smile that should have borne warmth but instead felt laced with something far more sinister, as if he relished the chaos that had unfolded. "Why are you here?" Ada demanded, stepping protectively in front of me. Her resolve, once a beacon, now flickered against the dread settling like fog around us. "What do you want?" Jide's eyes sparkled with mischief, yet a darkness clouded his expression. "To remind you of who you truly are," he replied, the words dripping with implications that twisted my stomach in knots. "You have power that you can't even begin to comprehend, and I've been watching, always watching." Kofi, who had been quiet since Jide had appeared, took a tentative step forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know what you're tampering with, Jide. Leave them out of this. It's not their fight." My heart pounded as the intensity of the moment expanded, each breath feeling heavier with the weight of unspoken truths. "What do you know about us?" I asked, my voice shaking yet firm. The question lingered in the night, tainted by my own desperation to understand everything. Jide retorted sharply, his gaze flicking between Kofi and me. "And you don't even remember, do you? Not the games we played, the secrets we kept, or the sacrifices that were made to keep you safe." "Mistakes were made, but she deserves to know," Kofi interjected, his tone drowning in exasperation. "You don't have to use her to settle your scores, use her." Jide laughed, a sound so cold it could freeze flames. "I'm offering her a chance to embrace the truth. But if she chooses ignorance, I can't save her from what's coming. They'll hunt her down, Kofi, just like they hunted your family." Panic surged within me, knotting my stomach into tight coils. "What do you mean? Who's hunting us?" But deep down, I feared what the answer might be. "The ones who never wanted you to remember, the ones who fear your abilities," Jide replied, his eyes narrowing. "They knew you were special from the moment you were born, Ada. They thought if they took Kofi away, they might keep you sheltered. They were wrong." My mind swirled, disoriented. Abilities? Special? I had lived in the shadow of a past drenched in silence, but it appeared the darkness was only the surface, a thin veil over something deeper, something more menacing. "What abilities?" I pressed, stepping closer despite the fear prickling at the back of my mind. Jide's smirk softened, his gaze lingering on me with a sense of twisted affection. "The gift of truth. The ability to delve into what others hide from you," he murmured, and something in his voice made my chest tighten. "But it demands precision. It's not just a blessing, it's a curse that binds you, weighs you down until you can't tell if you're floating or drowning." The weight of his revelation sank into me, and a small flicker of anger ignited within. "You want me to believe in a world of darkness, Jide? You want me to embrace something I don't even understand?" My hands curled into fists, the defiance bubbling but mixing with terror. "You won't have a choice," Jide countered smoothly. His voice took on an ominous tone. "The moment you set foot in that house, the moment you come face to face with who you are, everything you've avoided will cascade around you like a storm of memories." Before I could respond, Kofi moved forward, his body a shield between us. "She's not a pawn in your game, Jide. We're leaving." "It won't be that easy," Jide called after us, his laughter spilling into the night like shards of glass. "The truth is never easy. You'll meet the ones who've been seeking you. And when you do, the revelation will bind Ada tighter to this world than she ever imagined." A chill ran through me, and as we pressed forward into the unknown, I realized that Jide's words were not merely echoes of the past, they were foreshadowing the darkness that loomed ahead. The urgency of our flight splintered my thoughts. How should we prepare for the truth that awaited us? Would the revelations bring us together as a family, or would they sever our already fragile ties? The crumbling path ahead seemed daunting, yet inside me stirred a burgeoning determination. I had to uncover the layers of who I was, despite the cost. But as we rushed through shadowy streets under the watchful gaze of the moon, Jide's ominous laughter echoed in my mind, casting a shadow over my resolve. Just as we turned a corner, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. The screen lit up with a message from an unknown number. "They're closer than you think. Trust no one." Panic surged anew as our eyes darted frantically around the street. Clarity settled upon me. With each passing moment, I felt the walls of my past tightening, ready to crumble with the weight of everything I had yet to learn. And somewhere within that looming darkness, I knew the truth was waiting ready to be unleashed, but at what price? The panic clung to my skin like morning dew, sharp and biting. Kofi's grip tightened around my arm, his knuckles white as he pulled me forward, urging me to move faster. The city around us was alive, but in that moment, it felt suffocating, a maze of shadows and whispers threatening to consume us whole. "What do you want to do?" he whispered urgently, casting a quick glance over his shoulder, as if the very darkness itself were a predator waiting to pounce. "I don't know," I replied, my voice barely a breath, the weight of Jide's words pressing down on me like a leaden shroud. "I can't think, Kofi. The truth, it could change everything." The rawness of my admission hung in the air, an unbidden admission that left me vulnerable. Kofi stopped abruptly, turning to face me, his eyes alight with determination. "Let's find a safe place to regroup. We need a plan before we confront any truths." "What's the plan?" "To sit here and wait for them to find us. Or maybe we can run, but where to, Kofi?" You saw the look on Jide's faces relishing this chaos. Frustration bubbled over, leaving me teetering on the precipice of despair. That he held my gaze, a calm in the tempest around us. "We can't run forever. The truth will come for us, Ada, just like it did for Jide. But if we can figure out what it means and how to harness it to can turn it against whoever is after you." A part of me wanted to cling to that reason, the flicker of hope igniting within me. What if we fail? What if we can't? My voice trailed off, the fear of the unknown suffocating my resolve. "Then we'll face it together. You won't be alone," he said firmly, squeezing my hand as if his grip could transfer strength into me. As we stepped into a narrow side street, I noticed a small cafe glowing invitingly at the far end, a sanctuary against the impending storm. It was an odd sight, light spilling out into the night, laughter echoing from within like a distant memory. Despite the chaos, something about it called to me, stirring memories of simpler times when I'd steal an afternoon to sip cocoa while the world outside moved on without me. Kofi followed my gaze. "A distraction might do us good. We can gather our thoughts, find a way forward." As we crossed the street, something surreal washed over me. Perhaps it was the warmth emanating from the cafe or the scent of roasted coffee teasing my senses. I could almost believe we were ordinary once more, just two friends seeking refuge, not a girl haunted by her past or a boy burdened by secrets. Yet even as we walked inside, I felt the weight of fate lurking just beyond the glass doors. The cafe buzzed with life, filled with the soft chatter of patrons. We found a secluded table in the corner, shadowed yet inviting. The moment we sat down, the air shifted, it felt heavy with unspoken truths. A server approached, the kind of gentle soul who smiled like they had seen the best and worst of the world but still chose to believe in the good. She greeted us warmly. "What can I get for you?" I opened my mouth, but my throat felt dry, my heart racing as if I was about to reveal a secret I was still grappling to understand. Just a coffee, please," I finally managed. Kofi ordered, his voice steady and calm, a stark contrast to the turmoil in my heart. As soon as she walked away, he leaned in. "Should we call your parents? Maybe they know something about the past us. This could be bigger than we think." The thought jolted through me. Parents' faces, lined with worry, dancing in my mind. But then the memory of their cautious expressions, the secrets they kept, and the tension that hung around them stifled any urge to reach out. No, I said firmly, even though a part of me yearned for their comfort. If they knew something, they would have told me. Yet doubt clawed at my heart. Was I right in shutting them out? Kofi must have sensed my inner battle. Okay, then we keep moving forward. Just promise me, whatever you decide, you'll trust me. The weight of his words settled between us, a fragile thread pulling me closer to the edge of vulnerability. I promise, I murmured, though a twist of fear tightened its grip around my heart. Just as my coffee arrived, my phone buzzed again. My stomach lurched as I saw another message from that unknown number. You're not safe. They know you're here. Trust no one outside. My pulse raced as I glanced out the window, the shadows pulling in closer, stretching along the pavement as if seeking to envelop us. Was there truly no safe haven, no place I could turn? The sudden weight of betrayal lodged in my throat, threatening to suffocate me. Kofi noticed my reaction and leaned closer, his brow furrowed in concern. Ada, what is it? I looked into his eyes, that warmth and friendship grounding me in the turbulent sea of uncertainty. We need to leave. Something isn't right. But just as we began to rise, I caught a glimpse of a figure lingering outside the cafe, shadowy and unnervingly familiar. My heart raced as recognition struck. It was Jide, his smirk like a knowing predator surveying its prey. Stay close, Kofi said, grabbing my hand as we slowly maneuvered toward the back exit, but a chill crawled up my spine. What did Jide know that we didn't? And was the truth I craved really waiting, or only another snare hidden in the darkness? With every heartbeat echoing louder, I realized I stood on the precipice of an abyss. Go. Kofi urged, but another cold message flashed across my mind. The truth is closer than you think. Embrace it. And just like that, I felt the tug of fate drawing me down a path I was terrified to explore. The chill of uncertainty wrapped around me as Kofi and I bolted through the cafe's back exit, shadows stretching like sinister fingers behind us. My heart raced, each beat echoing the unrelenting pulse of fear coursing through my body. Though I had wanted the truth, was I prepared to face its haunting glare? Jide was a puppeteer, and I felt the strings tightening with every step away from the cafe's warmth. Stay close, Kofi urged, his grip firm around my wrist as we ducked into a narrow alley. The cool evening air bit at my skin, reminding me of the stark reality outside the moments we had stolen in the cafe. Fear gnawed at me like a persistent insect, driving me toward a fear I could neither acknowledge nor escape. I risked a glance back, catching a fleeting silhouette slipping into the shadows. Jide, the specter of a life I wanted to leave behind. That I stumbled, caught off guard by the pull of memory. Jide had been my closest friend once, but in that moment, he felt like a convoluted puzzle wrapped in riddles. What does he want from me? I murmured, more to myself than to Kofi. He wants to control you, Ada, Kofi growled softly, urgency thrumming in his voice. We need to keep moving. He knows your past, but he doesn't own your future. The fire in his words ignited something within Mirsolv, reminiscent of the courage I had buried deep within. I had to confront this chaos head-on, even if it terrified me. Where do we go? I asked, breathing heavy. There's a place I know not far from here. A friend who can help someone who has been waiting for this. I nodded, desperation mingling with a wisp of hope. He led the way, navigating through the winding back streets. The world around us blurred, the hum of the city rising and falling like the waves of a stormy sea. As we turned a corner, an inviting blue door appeared in front of us, ordinary yet undeniably a beacon of refuge in this murky labyrinth. Kofi knocked twice, the sound a hammer against my anxiety. Moments felt like lifetimes, the anticipation coiling around my chest. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing a modest room bathed in warm light and filled with the scent of incense. A middle-aged woman with gentle eyes stood before us, her presence radiating calm. Amara, Kofi greeted, a somber heaviness to his words, and she embraced him. There was a knowing in her gaze as she stepped back, taking in the turmoil etched across my face. Come in, you both look like you've run from a storm. Her voice was soothing, laced with warmth that cracked the ice encasing my heart. As we stepped inside, Amara gestured for us to sit. "What brings you here tonight?" she asked, concern flickering across her brow. I opened my mouth, but the truth felt like a jagged rock lodged in my throat. What if sharing my fears, my pain, only opened the floodgates for more chaos? I hesitated, but Kofi's reassuring grip on my hand urged me to dive deeper. "Jide is after us," I confessed, swallowing hard. "He knows something about mesomething I don't." "I'm scared of what's coming." Amara's expression shifted to one of understanding. "He has always had an insatiable curiosity about your family. There are stories, Ada, stories that could consume you if allowed to surface. But knowledge can also be power. You must decide what you're ready to face." Her words resonated with me, a battle cry I had long stifled in my soul. Yet, the nagging voice of doubt clawed back. "What if I'm not strong enough? What if the truth destroys me?" Kofi interjected, boiling urgency rippling in his tone. "You can't hide forever, Ada. Running won't help. You need to confront the past so you can finally grasp your future." In that moment, something shifted within me. A fragile ember of courage sparked to life. "What do I need to know?" I asked, almost breathlessly. Amara met my gaze, a quiet whirlwind of compassion and wisdom. "Every story has its darkness, but it's often in those shadows where you find the light. You must seek out those who can provide the missing pieces, the ones connected to your heritage, to the truths behind your family's past." It was an invitation I longed for, a call to arms I had neglected to answer. I felt the weight of her gaze, not just searching for answers but unlocking something dormant within me. If I was to fully grasp who I was, I needed to delve into the edges of my identity without flinching. But as hope began to unfurl its wings, my phone buzzed again. With trembling hands, I pulled it from my pocket, feeling the anticipation gripping my heart. Another message from that malignant number: "Your time is running out. They're coming for you." Panic surged anew, an insistent surge forcing me deeper into the room's shadows. I could almost feel the darkness closing in, encircling me with tendrils of fear. Kofi's hand tightened around mine as Amara's eyes widened, sensing the tempest of emotions swirling within me. "Who is they?" Kofi demanded, the protective ferocity shining in his eyes, shielding me from the shadows creeping closer. "I don't know," I whispered, a sense of dread squeezing the air from my lungs. "But with every revelation, the danger grows." Amara's voice became steady, grounding us in the moment. "You're stronger than you think, Ada. But I can't promise everything will be easy. You will face choices, sacrifices even, but there's greatness in you waiting to be unveiled." Just as I was about to reclaim my breath, a crash echoed from outside, a sound that resonated in the depths of my fears. A brutal reminder that darkness was never far behind. Kofi and I exchanged a glance filled with urgency, an unspoken agreement that we had to act swiftly. "Those are the footsteps of the ones who wish to keep you captive," Amara said gravely, her voice steady yet brimming with resolve. "It's time to make a choice, Ada." Torn between the enormity of the moment and the instinctual urge to flee, I finally breathed in deeply, summoning the dormant strength I felt flickering within. The fact that choices lay before me, choices that could shatter or inspire, felt weighty, yet liberating, and with that, I took a step toward the door, ready to face whatever awaited outside. In that pivotal moment, as we prepared to leave behind what felt safe, I finally accepted that I was ready to embrace the truth. But I had no clue just how deep the shadows went or what awaited me beyond that threshold. As we stepped into the waiting night, adrenaline coursed through my veins, electrifying every nerve. Behind us, Amara warned, "Remember, you may not be alone in this. Watch your back." But the weight of her words carried with them a terrible promise, a tether to dangers unknown and mysteries yet to unfold. My heart pounded, but in the face of fear, something greater blossomed. Hope. Hope that burned, fierce and unyielding, even as we were scuttled into the depths of uncertainty, unaware of exactly what awaited beneath the surface, just beyond the reach of light. The streets outside Amara's warm haven felt foreign and suffocating, the weight of anxiety tightening its grip around me as I stepped into the unknown. The vibrant colors of graffiti murals that usually sparked joy now appeared ominous, spilling shadows that loomed larger than life. Kofi walked beside me, his presence a tether, grounding my swirling thoughts. That we need a plan, he said quietly, scanning the street for signs of danger. We can't let Jide corner us. He has too many connections. My pulse quickened at the mention of his name. What if he finds us first? Kofi turned to face me, determination etched across his features. We won't let that happen. Well, stay 2 steps ahead. A surge of admiration washed over me. He believed in us, in what we could fight together. But the doubt still nagged at the edges of my mind. I had never been the brave one, my life had been comfortably ordinary until this storm engulfed me. Just then, a little girl in a bright yellow dress darted past us, her laughter ringing through the alley as she chased a ball. The sound, a stark contrast to the looming darkness, tugged at my heart. Children embody innocence, and that moment reminded me that outside our unresolved fears existed a world bursting with life. Kofi noticed the shift in my expression. Focus, Ada, he urged. I nodded, shaking off the lingering trace of nostalgia. Right. Let's get to the nearest bus station. We'll find a way to uncover the truth. As we made our way to a nearby station, the vibrant pulse of the city enveloped me. Street vendors shouted playful banter, and the aroma of spicy food wafted through the air, wrapping around me like a warm embrace. The supernatural chatter felt alien, remote, pulling me from the darkness of my thoughts. Yet, there were still echoes of the chaos that Jide had sown within my heart. That we arrived at the bus station, an ordinary building now cloaked in urgency. As we waited in line, a man behind us handed Kofi a flyer. Are you looking for help? He asked earnestly. This community gathering might interest you. There are people here who can guide you. Kofi seemed taken aback but accepted it with a nod. Thank you. I felt gratitude bloom within as the gesture broke through our heavy silence. Not everyone was enmeshed in the same shadows, there were those willing to lend a hand. Maybe we could navigate this dangerous path, one step at a time. We barely had time to breathe before our bus arrived. Climbing aboard, I felt a flicker of safety as the engine roared to life. We settled into our seats, the rhythm of the wheels against the pavement a balm against my turbulent thoughts. The cityscape unfurled outside the window, a vibrant tapestry painted by lives intertwined with one another, but deep in my gut, the dread lived, a constant reminder that my past was fighting to step into the frame of my life again. I didn't belong here among travelers with stories unfolding, and yet, as I gazed out, I knew that the journey was also about renewal, a transformation of sorts. The bus jerked to a stop, and I caught sight of 3 figures across the street, their eyes trained on the vehicle. Panic clawed inside me. Kofi, look. I pointed, my voice shaking. His gaze followed mine, and the fierce protectiveness returned. We need to get off this bus. Now, the 2 of us vaulted down the stairwell, but an unfamiliar feeling brushed against my conscience. As we dashed around the corner, I couldn't shake the sense of being followed. I caught glimpses of dark silhouettes through alleyway mirrors, merging into a crowd yet holding a distinct tightness tethered to me. Where to now? Kofi asked, urgency lacing his voice as we pressed against the cold, unforgiving brick of a building. There's a park a few blocks over. We can get lost in the trees. We moved quickly, heartbeats synchronizing into a frantic rhythm. When we reached the park, the darkness of night cloaked us, the shadows of trees casting long, foreboding shapes. Do you think we lost them? I whispered, feeling both terrified and exhilarated. Kofi met my eyes, his expression distant and troubled. We can't afford to stop. Jide won't give up easily. The thick silence of the park felt heavy with the weight of my thoughts. Underneath, however, something emerged, a stubborn resolve to wrestle with the specters of my past. It surged within me, promising strength I had yet to fully understand. Suddenly, Kofi grabbed my arm. Over there, he said urgently, pointing to a small gathering of people huddled around a flickering fire. Maybe they can help us. That we made our way closer, and I couldn't help but notice the small acts of kindness within the group, laughter shared among strangers, warmth effortlessly passed through simple gestures. Hope ignited in my chest once again. As we approached, we were met with curious gazes that quickly turned to concern. "Are you all right?" a woman asked, her voice melodic and welcoming. "You look like you've been running," Kofi started, but before he could finish, I felt the tension in the air swell. A familiar voice interrupted. "I see you found new allies." Jide stepped from the shadows, a haunting presence that sent ice rushing through my veins. The warmth of the fire seemed to dim in his wake. "You can't hide from your destiny." My heart dropped, and in that moment, with reality closing in around us like the crushing weight of the night, I felt the breath of fear whispering promises of despair. All the hope I had carried threatened to unravel at his words. I was frozen in place, the burning ember of courage now flickering precariously, teetering on the edge of darkness. What did he know? What had he orchestrated? My life was spiraling, and in that singular moment, the truth loomed larger than ever before, obscured by the shadows that clung to me, and as the finality of his words echoed in the still night, I realized this would be a night of reckoning, a night where everything would change. The flames crackled, defiance against the encroaching darkness, yet I felt utterly exposed in the glow of the firelight. Jide's presence was an insidious poison, one that seeped into my resolve and threatened to suffocate the last flickers of hope I had managed to gather. "How did you?" Kofi began, but his voice faltered as he assessed Jide's demeanor. "We were entangled by our choices, caught in a web woven by Jide's machinations, and he was reveling in it. You have something I need, Ada." His eyes gleamed with a predatory hunger, those familiar depths now blended with malicious intent. You always have. It's time you understand the power you wield without even knowing. I glanced at Kofi. He stood tense beside me, ready to shield me from whatever Jide intended. But the truth was that Jide already had my past in his grip, and I felt it slip further through my fingers with each passing moment. "Stay away from her." Kofi's voice was sharp, but even his bravado felt like a thin veil against the storm brewing within the shadows. Jide chuckled softly, a sound that echoed like a death knell through the cool night air. "What will you do, Kofi? You think you can protect her from me? You don't even understand the depths of what I've set in motion." His gaze returned to me, an unsettling mixture of arrogance and intimacy that sent chills down my spine. "You have power, Ada. You just need a little direction." I shook my head, the fear welling up inside me threatening to drown my thoughts. "No. I won't follow you. Whatever you want is not worth giving up my life." "Oh, but you underestimate yourself," he continued, stepping closer, the warmth of the fire now feeling cold under his presence. "Don't you want to understand what you can truly become?" It was a mesmerizing pitch, like a siren's call meant to beckon me towards peril. But I had fought too long, endured too much. This was not my destiny to embrace. I turned to Kofi, searching for strength in his reassuring gaze, reminding me there was power in unity, even in fear. "Let's go, Ada," Kofi urged, his grip tightening around my arm. But Jide's laughter rang out, coarse and reverberating between us, as if pulling the fabric of reality taut that I wouldn't attempt to leave if I were you. "You see, my friends are closer than you think." He gestured casually to the surrounding darkness, and dread crashed over me. I felt the shadows shift, fester, and pulse with life. From the corners of the park, figures began to emerge, icy silhouettes that melded into the blackness, each step deliberate and purposeful. In my heart, dread blossomed like a vicious flower, its petals unfurling to reveal a host of painful memories. Kofi stood vigilant, yet the situation spiraled further into chaos. "This is our chance," he whispered urgently. "We can't let him intimidate us again," and for the first time, I felt that familiar warmth return, a surge of determination rippling through the remnants of fear. I straightened, lifted my chin slightly, and stepped forward, challenging Jide's icy gaze head-on. "Maybe I don't understand all of it yet," I said, letting the words spill forth with shaky defiances. "But I refuse to be a pawn in your games any longer. Whatever you think you want from might's not happening." Jide's expression darkened, but before he could retaliate, the piercing sound of sirens filled the night, a beacon of unexpected hope cutting through the tension. The figures hesitated, their confidence wavering. "Run!" Kofi shouted, his voice breaking through the noise of my racing heart. I didn't look back. I trusted him, and together we bolted into the mass of trees, branches scratching at my skin as we sprinted towards the unknown. As we raced into the shadows, a fleeting sensation of freedom washed over me. But it was short-lived as I heard shouts behind Yuzel. The unmistakable chaos Jide had orchestrated swirling though the night, panic surged and clouded my instincts. The path ahead was becoming increasingly treacherous. Just then, beneath the canopy of overlapping leaves, my foot slipped on damp ground and I stumbled, crashing into the underbrush. Kofi skidded to a halt, reaching out for me, a fierce protector amidst the disarray, but before I could regain my footing, I heard a voice drenched in familiarity, albeit tainted with a bitter edge. Ada. You thought you could escape? I froze, pulse pounding in my ears. Out from the shadows stepped Ngozi, my childhood friend, but the warmth of our shared laughter felt like a ghost as I met her chilling gaze. Why, Ada? Why would you turn your back on your own? She asked, the desperation in her tone cut with a piercing edge. In that moment, amid the tangled discord of my life and the struggle for my identity, I felt the enormity of tangled pasts and fractured relationships come crashing down around me. The tangled web of my history now felt impossibly tangled, twisting itself around me, leaving me vulnerable and uncertain that I was suffocating in the weight of unchosen paths and haunted by choice, no longer a single thread but an entire tapestry of conflict, longing to redefine who I could be. And as Jide's shadow loomed like a specter behind me, fate took on a new shape, dark and unyielding. How had everything spiraled to this moment? Would anyone ever understand? And just when I thought I'd found my footing, the vulnerability of human connection met the chaos of betrayal once more. I had never expected this one shocking night would lead me to everything I thought I lost and the relentless battle that still awaited. The air hung heavy with tension as I stared at Ngozi, memories flooding my mind like a turbulent tide. Her presence stirred a mix of bewilderment and nostalgia, the laughter we once shared now wrapped in the chill of suspicion. Ngozi, it's not like that, I stammered, searching for the fragments of our former friendship buried under layers of misunderstanding. Her laughter echoed mockingly, a stark contrast to the girl I once adored. Not like that. You're running from us, Ada. From me. And for what? To hide behind Kofi and play some hero? The hurt in her eyes was undeniable, and it pierced me deeper than any physical wound. That I'm not running. My voice rose, fueled by desperation and a flicker of defiance. I'm fighting for myself. Fighting for all of us in a way you don't understand. Behind me, Kofi remained poised, his eyes darting between us, assessing the brewing storm. This isn't the time, Ada, he urged softly, concern etching his features. But he didn't grasp the weight of Ngozi's gaze, a mirror of my own past resurfacing underneath the layers of complicity. Fight? You think following Jide is fighting? You're just giving in to him. Ngozi spat, and I felt the rage and confusion radiating from her like a surging tide. It's not that simple. I took a step closer, willing her to see, desperate to uncover the girl who once understood me better than anyone else. You know what Jide is capable of, what he can do to those who defy him. I can't go back to that life. The shadows danced behind her, reminders of the encroaching darkness. I recognized the fear creeping into her cadence now, fear of losing me as much as fear of Jide. But that realization began to crack my heart wider, exposing the tender spot that was the essence of all we had endured. Then help me fight, Ngozi. I cried, the words tumbling out before I could think better of them. We don't have to be enemies, we can strategize together. Fight him. For a brief heartbeat, her expression wavered, vulnerability peeking through the cracks of her hardened facade. But just then, the distant wail of sirens crescendoed, a stark reminder that time was slipping through our fingers like sand. Turning your back on us led to this. You think this fight is yours alone? She stepped closer, her voice low and intense yet tinged with an undeniable desire to understand. You always were the brave one, Ada, but bravery comes at a cost. What do you think you're risking? Everything. The admission escaped me like a whispered breath, laden with years of turmoil and resolve. I've already lost so much, I can't lose you too. In that moment of raw honesty, the air shifted, and something unspoken passed between us, an echo of our former friendship glimmering through the chaos. Suddenly, the shadows around us writhed, the figments of Jide's followers coiling dangerously close. Kofi shifted beside me, his expression darkening as he prepared for conflict. "We have to move now," but as I met Ngozi's gaze, I saw the tightness of her jaw, the flicker of defiance brushing away the confusion. "I can't just walk away, Ada. I need to know why you chose them over us, because I thought it was the only way to survive." I shouted back, desperation tinged with clarity. "But maybe that was the wrong choice. I need to find a way to end this, not just for me, but for you too." She hesitated, the firelight casting an unearthly glow on her face, exposing the mixture of resolve and turmoil reflected within her eyes. "Then let's end this together," and with that, the fragile thread of hope began to weave between us again, a lifeline stretched taut across the chasm of our fractured bond. Just as I dared to believe we could bridge the gap, a piercing howl erupted from the darkness, the figures around us lunging forward with fierce intent. "Run!" Kofi's shout shattered the moment, and my instincts kicked in. I grabbed Ngozi's hand in a tight grip, desperation fueling my actions. Trusting Kofi, I sprinted into the chaos, the branches snapping beneath our feet as I pulled her behind me, but the darkness surged forward, hot on our heels, the malicious laughter of Jide echoing through the night. "You can't escape your past, Ada." I turned to look back at Ngozi, her face etched with both fear and determination. Would we truly be able to confront the tide of shadows together? Would the night swallow us, or would we find a way to rise anew? Then, through the breathless chaos of our fleeing, a disquieting realization washed over me. Beneath the weight of fear, the possibility for renewal lingered. Yet just as hope began to carve a path in the darkness, a blinding light surged through the trees, a beacon, illuminating something I had never anticipated. "Look!" Kofi shouted, halting in his tracks. My heart lurched as I followed his gaze, overwhelmed by the realization presented to us in that moment. There, spiraling above the treetops, was a figure clad in brilliant white, radiating with a luminance that felt unreal against the backdrop of despair. "You've held the light for too long, Ada. It's time to let it shine." Was it an illusion crafted by Jide or an angel sent to guide me toward the true choice ahead? I stood frozen, my heart beating painfully against my ribs, the weight of the world pressing down as I realized that every choice led us to this crossroads, and yet, as I stepped towards the light, a choice I couldn't absorb fully. Ngozi opened her mouth, and the words seemed trapped behind fear, waiting for the dam to break. Would she choose the shadows or the light? In that moment, I sensed the fragile thrum of destiny shifting around us, leaving the weight of what was to come unbearably pregnant with uncertainty. Would she be with me, or would we be pulled in separate directions, forever caught in a tempest that threatened to consume us both? I stood at the edge of a cliff, the gusts of wind that had once felt invigorating now felt as cruel as the truth demanding to be unleashed. The radiant figure above me glimmered with a brilliance that pushed back the shadows, illuminating what I had buried deep within, the daunting power of my choice. "It's time to let it shine." The words reverberated within me, echoing my fears and my yearning for connection. Kofi's grip tightened on my hand, a comforting presence amidst the chaos, but the pressure in my chest felt unbearable. The darkness behind us, those figures bound to Jide's wicked whims, surged closer, eager to snuff out the light before it could explode into something transformative. "Ada, we can't stay here." Kofi's voice sliced through the turmoil, urging me to focus. "Wait!" I shouted, pulling against his grasp to face Ngozi. There was a flame within me I hadn't recognized, a flicker of understanding that urged me to confront the pain of our past. "We can choose this together. But first, you have to tell me why you felt betrayed." She stood frozen, caught somewhere between hatred and fear, her breath hitching as her eyes sparkled with unshed tears. The harsh memories of our childhood enveloped us both, intertwining with the grief that had festered since our bond had fractured. "Ada, I felt thrown away. My family was broken, and I thought you left me. I thought you chose Kofi over us, leaving me to deal with the shattering pieces of the past alone." My heart ached as I listened, comprehension rushing over me like a tide washing away the wreckage of our shared pain. I took a tentative step toward her. I never chose to leave you behind. I thought staying away would keep you safe. But now I see that my silence only put a deeper chasm between us. The shadows, emboldened by her pain, crept forward, threatening to seize me once more. But in that instant, I caught a glimpse of something profound in her eyes, a flicker of understanding mixed with the fear that had kept us apart for so long. "Ada, you have no idea what they are after," she said, her voice quaking as if the very air thickened with tension. I couldn't deny it anymore, the truth loomed larger than life itself, monstrous yet necessary. "Then help me face it. Help us face it together," I implored, my voice firm, and with every word, I could feel the chains binding us to our fears slowly start to fracture. Ngozi hesitated, weighing the shadows behind her against the light offered by our shared bond. Together she whispered, uncertainty drafting lines on her face but determination flickering beneath. "Together." Kofi echoed, sparks of hope igniting in the depths of my heart. The shadows screeched, as if sensing the shift, a raucous symphony of malicious intent that sent a chill creeping under my skin. "You're too late, Ada." Jide taunted from the depths, his voice curling around me like smoke. "You think you can take that light and wield it? It will burn you alive." An unexpected rush of courage surged forward, igniting every nerve in my being. "No. It connects us. It's not a weapon, it's a lifeline." My heart beat erratically in my chest, fueled not just by fear but by the desperate hunger for the truth. "And it's time we embraced our heritage, our past." The light above pulsated brighter, enveloping the park in luminescence that cut deep into the shadows. I could feel it coursing through me, igniting my very essence while pulling the fragmented pieces together that had long been buried. "Are you with me?" I challenged both Ngozi and Kofi, the resolve crystallizing in the air surrounding us. "Let's create our own destiny." As if recognizing my call, the girl in the brilliant white radiated warmth. "Together, you hold the power to decide who you are." My heart raced. Was it true? Could I truly turn this chaotic tide in our favor? I felt the pulse of my heritage stirring, an ancestral wisdom whispering advice, rekindling hope I felt I had never known, only feared. I locked eyes with Ngozi, and we shared a moment of clarity that transcended our history's pain. "Let's do this," she shouted, finally stepping forward, eyes blazing with determination. "For all of us." With a resolute step, we tightened our grip around Kofi's hand, standing united, our shadowy past merging with the brilliant possibility ahead. Jide's features darkened as the shadows around him groaned, their momentum slipping away. "You think you can defy me? You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Neither do you," Kofi shouted back, brandishing our defiance like a shield as I began to channel the light surging through me. The atmosphere thickened like uncut glass before shattering, the urge to fight surging through me, a desire to reclaim what had been stolen. "Your shadows don't own me," I yelled, releasing the mounting force within me. It exploded outward, a radiant burst of scintillating energy that swept through the trees, lighting every crevice until it illuminated the dark shapes lurking before us. The howling voices of the shadows evaporated into echoes, distractions fading until all that remained was the brilliance of our united strength. "Oh!" Ngozi gasped, mesmerized by the light swirling around us. And in that moment, I felt our past, a whirlwind of choices and mistakes transforming into a lifeline, connecting our fates as bittersweet memories melted into something greater. Jide, shadowed by fear, stumbled back, his arrogance gnawed by uncertainty. "What are you?" he spat, rage boiling in his voice. "We are Ada, Kofi, and Ngozi, united, bonded by the truth and the choice to live our own story," I cried, feeling the warmth of light embrace me, piercing the darkness surrounding us like a fortress. In an explosion of clarity, I could see the crumbling figures retreating back into the night, scattered, fragmented like a memory fading under the dawn's first light. In the wake of their retreat, the breath of freedom surged around us like a caress, and I released a shaky breath of disbelief. We had triumphed, at least for now, and as the dawn began to break into hues of gold and rose, we found ourselves standing together, siblings forged by a new and unyielding bond, sealed in resolution. With each beat of my heart, I realized that facing the truth had given me the strength to embrace it. Together, we would navigate the labyrinth of our past, shedding the tether of our guilt and illuminating the way forward. In the clearing dawn light, I turned to Kofi and Ngozi, hope igniting my features as I whispered, "The battles we face are powerful, but together, I believe we can find our way home." And we stood there, not just as friends or remnants of fractured memories but as warriors of our fate, ready to confront whatever mysteries lay ahead together. And as the sun crested above us, casting our shadows tall and radiant, I understood now that the light we held was not just a power but a promise, a chance to reclaim our true selves, and nothing would ever stand in our way again.